Welcome to Old Classic Car, and here, Classic Vans Volume 2. And to begin with, we have this beautiful DKW. This was spotted in the public car park at a Goodwood Revival meeting just a few years ago. This is a DKW Schnelllaster. These were built from 1949 through to 1962. Front-wheel drive, two-stroke engine under that stubby little bonnet, and this one dates to 1956. Okay, we are at Cholmondeley Castle now at the Classic Car Show, and we have a rare Austin 7 van. What a little beauty that is, and just alongside it, a little Austin Mini van, or the Mini 95 van as it was known in the 1970s. Okay, DHV 938D is next, and this is a Reliant Supervan III, and I believe one of the actual vehicles used in the filming of the famous Only Fools and Horses TV comedy series of the 1980s and 90s. Now, thanks to Oliver for this photograph. What a beautiful van that is. This is a Borgward, and this was photographed at a classic car event around the Berlin area in 2023. What a cracking looking van that is, and the tractor isn't too bad either. Now we are down at Gaydon. If you watched the video I did in 2023 of the classic commercial vehicle day at Gaydon, you may well have seen this particular Ford Transit Mark 1 feature in that video. This is an M-Reg vehicle, so late 73 or early 1974 is the date for this one. And how about this? We photographed this at the Llandudno Festival of Transport in 2023. It is a Bedford CA, a short wheelbase Bedford CAS in the livery of a TV and radio company, no less. That one dates to 1959. Okay, now we are at Bicester for this one, and this is quite a rare. You don't see many preserved examples of the Morris LD, the walk-through van. These were badged as Austin or Morris, depending on your local dealership's favourite. But yeah, that's a rare vehicle now. Now we are down in the Portsmouth area, and we have a good old Citroen H van converted into a coffee bar. So many of the H vans now spend their retirement or semi-retirement as coffee vans, and this one looks to be in really good condition. You can't always say that for everyone that you see. Now we have a classic Ford. This is the Ford Thames 300E. These were available rated, I think, at 500 weight and 700 weight ratings. This was a contemporary, of course, of the Ford 100E saloon car range of the 1950s. Here's another Bobby Dazzler spotted again in Llandudno, a Ford Model A panel van DL7994. This one dates to mid 1932, so that's quite a late example of the breed. Now, thanks to Nev in Australia, he sent over quite a variety of photos recently, and look at this, two snaps of a beautiful 1939 Chevrolet panel van. What a cracking shaped vehicle that is. I wonder if it's gone on to be restored. Was it mid-restoration here? It looks like it, but yeah, what a great looking thing. As is this. We are down at Malvern for this particular one, FAS 990. It is a post-war Morris Z van in the livery of Royal Mail. This one dates to 1948. You can see the carriage type door handle as well. That is a sign for the Royal Mail vans. Regular vans had a regular type of door handle. Now we are down at the NEC Classic Car Show, and we have a comparatively rare Metro-based Metro 310 van. I think that's what you call these. TIJ 3643, that is a private registration plate. That wouldn't be the original plate that it had fitted, I'm sure. Next up, we are down at Gaydon, and this beautiful Bedford. This is a Mark III Bedford CA. It's quite a late example of the breed. I think this is another short wheelbase van, so CAS on a G plate, so late 1960s this particular one, and look how clean the paintwork is on that. In stunning condition, that one. Whereas another event here, and in the foreground we've got the van version, if you like, of the Ford Anglia. This is the Thames 307E. Not the same body as the Anglia Estate, but panelled in. The vans had a body unique to them, as you can see here. The Estates were much more slopey at the back. And here we've got a bit of classic Japanese action here with the Nissan S Cargo. What a great looking thing that is. Based on the Micra, if I remember right. Carrying on this look at classic vans, we have very much a barn find project on display at the NEC, the National Exhibition Centre, at one of their restoration shows. Is this an Austin or is it a Morris? Both versions were available, and there was nothing much between them really, apart from the grille and the badge on the front and back. Now here's a proper rarity, in the UK at least, 653 UYR. Now, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, UAZ, U-A-Z. It's a UAZ 452, dating to 1959. It's a four-wheel drive, diesel-powered van with added windows in this case. But yeah, proper rarity that is. And you don't see too many of these either. This is a Fiat Ducato van-based camper, circa 1995, and this was photographed on the way in to the classic car show at Weston Park. And we have a bit of Wallace and Gromit action on the roof of this classic Austin A35 van in a very fetching two-tone paint scheme. It's a fairly early example with the impressed panels on the doors there. The later vans did away with that. And this was spotted in the car park at the NEC, a fairly rare Austin Maestro based van. Is this the 310? I can't quite remember, but it's something on those lines. But yeah, quite a rare sight, and good to see this one parked up amongst a load of moderns at the NEC. Now we are at Crew Heritage in early 2024, and alongside a 2CV saloon, we have this cracking little 2CV based van DDE 78P. That one was registered in April of 1976. It has the standard 602cc air-cooled Citroen engine. Now we're back at the NEC, and here's a bit of a rarity. It looks like it's been a project for someone. Perhaps it's been sat around for a little while with no paint on it, judging by the surface rust here and there, and it's had a few repairs down the back end. So maybe this little comma cob has been finished by now. Let me know in the comments if you can update us on where this particular project is at now. And over to Gaydon, in the grounds of the British Motor Museum. Got a lovely Morris van there, 351 NHT. This one dates to 1961. It's got a 948cc A-series engine under its bonnet. We are at Morton Hampstead Motor Museum, and I recommend digging out the video for that one if you haven't already watched it yet. And this is a cracking little Lambretta based delivery van, a three-wheeler delivery van, and yeah, what a great thing that is. Some quite interesting little cars parked alongside it as well, a Bond bug and so on. Now, this was seen on the Isle of Wight. It's a bit later than the Only Fools and Horses van, but clearly it's used as a bit of an advertising vehicle. This Reliant certainly looks like it's seen possibly better days. What's the story with this one, I wonder? Just down the road from the Bus and Coach Museum, of which there is also a video here. Back to Gaydon, and this is the Bedford Midi that I saw in 2023. Good ones are these. Aren't exactly thick on the ground now either, but these are based on an Isuzu. I think it was called the Isuzu Fargo, if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is a really clean and straight example, and yeah, an immaculate example of an increasingly rare vehicle. This one on a G plate, so mid to late 1980s, about 1988 or 89, I think, somewhere around about there, probably 89. We are down at the Beaulieu Motor Museum, and FFU 446 is a just post-war Reliant three-wheeled van, and that's incredible. Look at that, in the livery of Bishop's Wholesale News Agency Limited of Southampton. That is really cool. There's an A35 van alongside that. And we are over at Hooton Park on the Wirral now, and stored in one of the hangars at Hooton Park is this beautiful Bedford. This one dates to July 1934. MJ4830 is its original registration. And how about this? A lovely Morris half-ton van on a K-plate. So late 1971 or early 1972 is the year that this one first hit the road. There's a nice sign writing and evidence there, and a cracking roof rack as well, and some very big wing mirrors too. So Yeah, you don't see too many of those around. And you don't see too many of these around either. I mean, I imagine this is probably the only one left. A little Harrods electric van from 1939 on display at Beaulieu at the National Motor Museum. While ambling around the mighty Tatton Park Classic Car Show in 2023, I stumbled across this beautiful Ford 8 van based on the Ford Model Y. The registration is YPJ 700 and it dates to 1933. That would have the 933cc side valve 4-cylinder engine. And this is a bit of an oddity. Our 509 LVE, this was photographed at Brixham on the quayside, and apparently it's a 1998 Daihatsu van. Quite a compact little thing, 660cc, but definitely a future classic if it's not one already. I think it's a very neat looking little vehicle, that. And here we are at the Aldridge Transport Museum again. There is a video for this one lurking elsewhere on the old classic car channel. GRA 847 is the reg. It's a 1939 Morris commercial. What a fine looking machine that is. And how about one of these? Of course we know what this is. This is a Morris minivan. You had Austins, you had Morrises, and later they were all badged as Leyland. This one is on an H plate, so the beginning of the 1970s, and it's good to see a van looking very, very original apart from the wheels. But yeah, great stuff. And talking of original vehicles, this popped up at an evening meeting a couple of years ago. A super original oily rag Ford Escort Mark II van. What an incredible looking vehicle that is. And we had to have a VW in here somewhere. There are loads of campers around, but not so many of these panel vans based on the bay window VWs. This one on a K plate, so early 1970s. Now, is that original sign writing, or is it new sign writing that's been given the aged look? I'm not quite sure, but either way, that's a rare looking vehicle. And here we have another example of the half-ton Morris van, this one on a C plate, so 1965, and this was on display as several of the vehicles were here at Gaydon at the Classic Commercial Vehicles Show in 2023. Now, thanks to Tony for this one. He sent over several photos that appear in this collection. 234 FCR is an Austin LD. October 1963 is the date this one first hit the road, and it looks like it's been restored as a motorcycle racing support van. I can see an old bike just in the back there. Now, this is probably one of the rarest vans of all in this particular upload, 4245KB, the Chevrolet Corvair based van, complete with side access doors there. That is a properly rare vehicle, rear engined of course, which makes it really, really unusual. Now we're back down to Beaulieu, and apparently this orange Piaggio little three-wheeler van featured in the absolutely fabulous TV series. Not that I watch it, so I'm just going off information I found elsewhere. But yes, apparently this is a TV star, no less. Back to Gaydon, and there was a huge turnout of classic Ford Transit vans there in 2023, including this amazing four-wheel drive jacked up version, which was a bit of a treat to see. It looks like it too is a race support van. Now, this was at the Autos de France meet held at Alton Park in 2023, and we have a Citroën Acadian, which was like the later updated version, if you like, of the 2CV van, the AK400. This Acadian was the contemporary of the Citroën Diane Saloon. Now, another proper rarity here. This is the Triumph Courier van, which of course is based on the Triumph Herald estate, but with panelled in windows. That must have been a fairly simple conversion, just to take the estate and panel in the windows on the side there, and lo and behold, you've got a van. But yeah, that looks like quite a practical vehicle. And wow, proper nice. This one, CXM 275, a 1936 comma in the livery of Lion's Tea. And who doesn't love a fine bit of sign writing like that? God save the King. And we are back at the NEC, and on an L registration we have a fairly early Land Rover Discovery commercial the van version, two-door van version of the Land Rover Discovery, which is an increasingly rare sight, that is. You very rarely see these anywhere, and this is in really nice condition. And at the same venue, another example of a classic Austin, this time the Austin A40 1000 weight van, complete with an Austin J40 pedal car sticking out of the back. What a perfect cargo and a perfect little van. And we are at Crew Heritage for this one, and this is quite a rare now. This is a modern classic van, I guess, a Vauxhall Astra Max. When did you last see a good one of those? Don't forget, if you like this kind of thing, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel and have a good look round when you're finished here. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of thing really helps. Now, thanks to Stephen for this snapshot of another fine preserved Thames 300E. This one promoting a timber window company. And yeah, that's in really, really nice condition. It's always great to see photos of cars at events further afield to where we usually go. Now, this is a nice one. We spotted this one at the beginning of the year. A Dodge Tradesman, no less, of the mid-1970s. This one, V8 powered, sounded fantastic as it drove past us on the road a little bit later on. Check out the Jolly Thresher Boxing Day video that I put out just a few weeks ago. Okay, back to Gaydon on a very, very sunny day. We've got XHK941L, an early-ish example of the Marina-based van. This is the Morris 700 weight. I'm guessing it wasn't actually called a Marina van, just the Morris 700 weight van, but you can clearly see what it's based upon. And we're back in North Wales for this one, and parked alongside a VW. We have another example of the good old Morris Z van, NUC 659. This one dates to 1953, and it's got the 918cc side valve engine that would go on to power the first of the Morris Minor MMs. And in the same location we have another minivan. This is a later one, badged up as a Leyland Mini as opposed to Austin or Morris, still with a pressed metal front end and the exterior door hinges, which was a feature of all the vans and pickup versions of the Mini right the way through until production ended. Another modern classic van here, this one a 2001 registration based around the Ford Escort, the Mark 6, I think, Ford Escort. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments, but I think it's a Mark 6. Now, another one of Oliver's photos here from Berlin, a magnificent Mercedes van-based camper, the Mercedes 206D. What a great looking machine that is, that looks very spacious. We are back to the NEC and a work in progress Austin A35 van. Wheels are somewhat non-original, but the rest of it looks fairly original. The grille has been modified, every other bar appears to have been removed, so maybe there's a big engine under that bonnet, who knows. Maybe let me know in the comments if you know. And we're back to classic Ford vans for a moment here. On an F plate we have this Escort van. This is sort of contemporary of the Mark IV version, the Ford Escort Mark IV. And oh, another LD, this one looking a little bit dustier, and but yeah, this is a beautiful van, this one, a Luton bodied van based on the LD. The registration, I think, YBK 129. Very, very nice indeed. And we are back down at the Goodwood, and this is a side-on view of a Ford Thames 307E. This is the van equivalent, I suppose, of the Anglia 105E. Look how the back edge of the door curves up. That was so that you missed clobbering the curb when you open your door during deliveries, apparently. We're back at the NEC, and we have a Reliant Robin van here. That has got to be quite a rarity now. The only one of these I tend to see is parked outside the Llangollen Motor Museum. There's one outside advertising the museum, but other than that, this is probably the only one I've seen in quite some time. We go, a few van-based ice cream vans here. These belong to Whitby Morrison in Crewe. Got a Mini, got a Thames 307E, and the Bedford CF. What a fantastic lineup that is. How about this? A Bedford Rascal. This one has popped up at several classic vehicle meetings that we've been to over the last couple of years. E-plate, so late 1987. The EH tells us this was registered somewhere in the Staffordshire area, and it was a very, very sunny day, but what in great condition this little old Bedford is. And here we have an R-plated Transit, a Mark V Ford Transit, the so-called Smileys, thanks to the shape of the grille. This one looks a little bit grubby. It's in the Auto Jumble area down at Bicester Heritage. That's when I took this snap as it was driving through. Very much a working vehicle as opposed to a display vehicle, but maybe one day it'll end up on display. And here, a rear three-quarter view of a 1985 Renault 4. This one looks to be in really, really good condition, advertising a vinyl record business. We spotted this one while away down south at one of the Goodwood Revival meetings. I think it was in 2021 we saw this. And how about this mighty GMC? What an eye-catching vehicle that is. The wheels, the paint job, the American flags, the badging, the chrome on the front. That's a real showstopper, that one. We're back to classic British vans now, and another example, beautiful example of the Mark III Bedford CA van. The Mark IIIs, by this point in time, had the one-piece windscreens. The Mark IIIs had a much taller one-piece screen compared to the shallower one-piece screen that the Mark IIs had before. Of course, the earlier ones had split windows. Right, we are in Wem in Shropshire, and that's where I photographed this Citroen C15. It looks to be in reasonable condition, but just a little bit of tinworm along the bottom edges, and I know from experience of people who own these that they can rust fairly quickly. Once the rust starts, it needs catching fairly quickly. Okay, we've got another minivan here this time, and Austin. We've had Leyland badge up vans, we've had a Morris-based van, and now this is an Austin minivan. What a great example that is. Oh, now, if you saw my Llandudno video, you'll remember I liked this one a lot, and it was for sale at the time as well. FEA 781. This one dates to 1951. It's got a 2.2 litre petrol engine. What a great looking vehicle that is, and I love the Austin grille on the front. So nice. And here we've got a lovely Thames 300E van in two-tone paint job. This was at one of the Malpas steam rallies that we attended a couple of years back. Back to Gaydon, and a Mark II Ford Transit. Another race support vehicle by the look of it, a 4x4, four-wheel drive Ford Transit. What a cracking looking vehicle that is, and a beautiful restoration on that to get it looking just like that now. That is amazing. And also at Gaydon we spotted this, and this is a really rare van. This is a Bedford PC. Registration CFX819. It dates to July of 1947. If you look elsewhere on the channel, you'll see I did a brochure review of some period Bedford PC literature many years ago here on the Old Classic Car channel. I owned a few Ute versions of one of these that I bought from Australia many years ago, so that got me into them for a little while, hence the paperwork that I've still got here. But yeah, that's such a treat to see this one. Really nice. And how about this for a bit of an oddball? A very strange Mercedes van. Looks like a camper based on a mid-size Mercedes chassis. What it is we're actually looking at here, I'm not quite sure. So if you know what model this is, please pop a note into the comments and let me know, because it's always good to read your comments and learn a little bit more. Now we're back in Australia, thanks to Nev for this pair. A beautiful 1941 to 46 era Chevrolet panel van. Looks like it needs a bit of TLC, but look at that beautiful original sign writing on it. Apparently Grote Street is in Adelaide, but hopefully that went on to be restored. And very restored is this stunning A40 van here. MOM 164 is the registration. This one dates to September of 1952, and parked alongside it is a Model AA truck. But yeah, that Austin van is just beautiful. What a great shape. I love the spats over the back wheels. And here another bonny example in two-tone red and maroon, a Moggy van, the good old Morris-based van. continuing this look at classic vans, we have another Citroen H van, and this is probably the longest Citroen H van I have ever seen. Such distinctive corrugated bodywork. Was it ever sold that long, or has someone modified it afterwards? Because that is just, it must be really good fun turning that round in a narrow street. And we are down at Beaulieu again, and another original, I believe, TV series Reliant Supervan III van, as used in Only Fools and Horses, FKE 119L. Now, this is just such a delightful little van. EBJ661 is the registration. This was actually registered in 1940. This is a Fordson Thames, badged as a Thames, E88W van. And I think that is just incredible, and the fact that it was registered during the Second World War makes it doubly unusual. Thanks to Tony for this one. This is the Austin, or the Morris, or at the time Austin Morris J4 panel van of the early 1970s. This one is on an end plate, which puts it probably late 1974, in the livery of the Royal Mail, as you can see there. And we are on the Ford Side Valve Owners Club stand for this beautiful Fordson 500 weight van, an E494C. And that is really, really cool little van, that is. So many of these have been hot rodded, so it's nice to see a proper original one here in such great condition. And next to the Harrods van down at Beaulieu is this Royal Mail Morris Minor van. Really, really nice to see that. So quite a few detail differences on the Royal Mail vans as opposed to your regular Morris vans. Different catches on the back doors. I think they had grates in the back windows as well. Another of Tony's photos here, 432 GUY, another beautifully preserved example of the Thames 307E van. This one in grey with a white roof. Note the air vent on the roof. This was at a classic car show that we went to, I think it's Capesthorne Hall, and this beautiful Morris J van often turns up at events in this area, and yeah, it just looked fantastic in this lineup of classics there. Who remembers the dinky toy versions of the J vans? They were really, really neat as well. We're back into Llandudno, I think, for this one, and another Maestro era van. Really, really cool to see this one. It's quite a late example on a K plate, but it looks to be in fantastic condition. I wonder if it towed that caravan there behind it, or whether it's just there for display purposes. Here we are back at Beaulieu, and there's the little Reliant van on the right, and the Harrods Electric on the left, and in the middle, a lovely blue A35 van. What a cracker. Let me know in the comments if you're a fan of classic vans. Like I say, this is Volume 2. We've got another Morris J type here. Yes, this is Volume 2 in the Classic Vans compilation series. I'll put a link to the first collection at the end of this one, so fear not if you haven't seen that one yet. And yeah, this is a complimentary collection to that one. Okay, back to the NEC, and a comparatively rare Comma Imp van. This particular van dates to 1966, and it looks to be in really original condition, this one. That's got to be a rarity. Of course, this was the basis for the Imp Husky, the Imp-based Hillman Husky. Now we're over at Bicester Heritage, and a beautiful early 1980s Mark II version of the Ford Transit panel van, complete with side access door in this case. So that's in really, really smart condition. I like that. Often the arches and the sills will rot out on these after just a few years. And at the same venue, two photos now of WN 7872, a stunning Riley 9 based little van. What a great little vehicle that is. And the diamond shape of the Riley badge echoed all over on the vents on the side of the bonnet there. And at the back, look at the little rear windows and the back doors, again diamond shaped to match the Riley badge. That is just a beautiful little vehicle, that is. That is definitely one of my favourite vans of all in this particular collection. And when did you last see one of these? Unless you own one, of course. A Y-registered Morris 440 van. Of course, based very much so on the Morris Ital Saloon. bright yellow. This one has memories of perhaps British Telecom. Is this a British Telecom van? Busby era, that kind of thing. This was in a car park at Bicester Heritage. There's a rear 3/4 view of the same van. I'm sure it must have said British Telecom under that lettering that's been painted out on the side of the back there. I'm sure that's a BT van, but yeah, it's a real rarity, especially to see one that isn't rotted out. And well, I like unusual things, and this really leapt out at me down at the NEC, a Skoda 1203 delivery van. What an amazing looking vehicle that is. I do love oddball vans. It's the reason I rescued that Saab bullnose van all the way back in about 1990 or 91. And we've got a rear 3/4 view now of a Comma Cob, which shared its main body pressings, if you like, with the Hillman Husky estate. So yeah, very similar to the Hillman. But yeah, this is a van, and very, very unusual it is now, the Comma Cob. The wonderful Bedford CA here, NAB 980D. The D tells us that this one was registered in 1966 and it's a Mark III Bedford CAS van, and looking wonderful there in the Malvern sunshine. This was in the car park just round the back, away from the main show field actually. Now, yeah, look at this. This is a Zuck. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. ZUK. It dates to 1987. Appears to be a fire truck, judging by the faded red paintwork, but I do love rarities like that. That is just a real treat to see. And who remembers these? We were talking about British Telecom just a minute ago with that Morris 440 van, and this is the Bedford HA van, complete with ladders on the roof. And there's that Busby on the door there, say it with words. Great, great condition, look at that. We're back to BMC vehicles again, and an Austin half-ton van here. Of course, the styling is very similar to that of the old Austin Cambridges of the 1950s, the pre-Farina Austin Cambridge. And these were made for years and years, well into the early 1970s, as this example shows. Now, you see Thames 400Es around at shows, but very few coach-built Thames 400E vans. And look at this beauty, an old bakery van. I mean, the front panel is original Ford, but everything rear of it is coach built. The doors on the side, the passenger door there. Looking very factory though. Is this a Mark I Ford Transit, twin rear wheels and a side access door no less. So lots of different options were available to the buyers of Ford's Transit when it was first introduced, and that replaced the Thames 400E that we saw a moment ago. And here we've got another Renault 4 van. This one was spotted in France with added side windows and probably a rear seat added for good measure as well. But this one looked to be in really, really nice condition. Continuing this look at classic vans, of course, we've got another little BMC van here, not a Morris. Look at the badge on the front. This is the Austin version, Austin badge and the Austin crinkly grille. There's a lot of brand loyalty back in those days, and many people would only buy Austins and others would only buy Morrises, so BMC did the versions of both. Okay, and this was Alton Park, and a modern classic van, if you like, a Peugeot 106 on an R plate, so late 1990s. But again, very, very few of these around now. But this one looks to be in really, really nice condition. I guess the wheels aren't original, but you don't see these anywhere now. Thanks to Peter for this one. I thought I'd drop this one in. I have featured this in one or two compilations before, but it's such a treat to see a standard Vanguard van that was in regular use here in the early 1980s, photographed in London, and apparently it's still around somewhere. I did see some photos of this van part restored, so hopefully it'll be finished and back on the road again soon. And here, another example of the Austin Morris J4 panel van in the livery of the Renegade Race Team, complete with a wonderful roof rack and a tantalising selection of jerry cans on the roof. Another beautiful Bedford CA here. We've had a few later CAs, and this is one of the Mark 1s with a different grille and the two-piece windscreen arrangement. And there's our old Dodge pickup just behind it. This was photographed at the Audlam Festival of Transport just last year, I think it was 2023. And at the Eccleshall show, which is a show we will definitely go back to, we photographed this beautiful Austin A35. It's on an E-plate, so that tells us it was put on the road in early 1967. These were built long after the A35 saloons went out of production. And we are over at Gorsworth Hall in Cheshire for this one, and this is a beauty. We've seen a couple of different places now, a Michelin liveried Citroen van. I think it's the AK400. What a cracker that is, on an S-plate, so late 1970s is the date of that one, and in really beautiful condition. Another of Oliver's photos here from Germany, a magnificent and Begeisterous Deutz, apologies for my pronunciation. Clearly started out as a van and appears to have been converted into a camper, but I don't think I've ever seen one of those here in the UK, so it was a real treat to receive this photo and include it in this particular compilation of classic vans. How about this one, another of Tony's photos in the livery of Aston Garages, a somewhat lowered on wide wheels Ford Thames 300E. I wonder if there are any modifications to the engine under that bonnet. We are back at the NEC and we have two classic split window VWs. In the foreground, a very rare panel version. Really unusual that is, with the side access doors. What a treat that is. Looks to be very original. I'm guessing maybe it's coming from California or something like that. And in the 1970s, customizing was all the rage, and this is a throwback to those times. A very customized, very modified Morris Marina based van. This is just the sort of thing that would have featured on the cover of Custom Car magazine in the 1970s, and it's great to see this one on huge Wolf Race alloy wheels. We are back at Gorsworth Hall, and another example of a beautifully preserved Citroen H van, the fabulous Fizz Bar, on an X registration. So that's early 1980s registration, yet these vans, I'm sure, can trace their roots back well into the 50s, I'm sure. This will be a familiar van to anyone that watches the channel regularly. I think this probably started out as an estate because the door hinges are hidden, and it's been made into a van, and then someone's put the front end of the Wolseley Hornet onto this one for added excitement, and this is just beautiful. 1965. What a great conversion that is. And how about this? What a cracker this is. This is an Armstrong Siddeley van. It was based on a car originally. 1926 is the date, and at some point in its history, probably around about the Second World War time, someone converted it into a panel van. What a beauty. I love the shape of that. And while we were out filming the Jolly Thresher video, we stumbled across this old VW Caddy van, looking a little bit tired, a little bit worn, but not too rusty, so maybe the future is bright for this little van. And certainly it's a disappearing breed now, so hopefully someone will take it on, give it a wash and put it back on the road. And we are back at Crew Heritage, and another example of the Ford Transit Mark II, again with the side access door, twin wheels at the back, and in very clean condition indeed. Now we are at the Middlewich Transport Festival, and we spotted in the Auto Jumble area this beautiful Morris Minor based van. What a cracker that is. I love the sign writing on that too. We are back to the NEC for this one, and another 1985 registered Renault 4 van. What a cracker that is, and a very smart Renault 4 saloon parked alongside that on one of the Renault car club stands. Over at Bicester, and this is a regular as well. This is an Austin half-ton van on an F registration, so late 1967 or early 1968 is the date for this particular beauty. Really cool old van. I wonder if this will get restored at some point. And very restored is this stunning Austin 7 van of the 1920s. You can tell it's an early one because the lamps are mounted on the scuttle at the base of the windscreen as opposed to on the front wings, which is where you would see them on the later Austin 7s. What a cracking example that is. Beautiful sign writing too, and very unusual. Presumably this is a one-off Morris-based van designed with catering in mind. KB Toasties, it says on the screen, but that is an incredible, very high-roofed van. I wonder if that one actually drives to events or if it's trailered. Quite often these vehicles are trailered. and we are at, I think, Tatton Park possibly, and an incredible GMC done up as a tribute to the A-Team TV series. And yes, B.A. Baracus's van, and the registration number on the front is very appropriate, and you'll know what I mean if you've ever watched the A-Team. Now we're down at Malvern, and here we have one of the Lambretta based Willam vans, Postman Pat van. How cool is that? The classic Citroen here, this one from 1964, and I love the corrugated bodywork on the back of these vans. Really, really cool looking things. Now we've got an E83W here, a Fordson or a Thames, could be either. This is quite unusual. At first glance it looks like a factory van, but everything rear of the windscreen is actually coach built. The doors are a slightly different shape and the rear body is a different shape when you compare it to the factory van. So this is very, very unusual indeed now. Now I couldn't find a recent period photograph or even a modern photograph of a BMC JU250 panel van, so I had to include this camper to represent the JU250. You hardly ever see van versions of these anywhere now. So yeah, this is a real rare vehicle. And here we have another example of the Metro base, the 310 van. This is quite a rare one, finished in white and immaculate. Presumably this one has been restored. I can't imagine this would have survived unrestored all this time, but it's great to see this one. Really, really unusual now. And who remembers these? The old Jowett Bradford. This is a van with added windows and probably seats in the back as well. A GAB 592. It looks like its original registration number, which is great to see as well. Yeah, really, really nice. This is sold alongside the Javelin and the Jupiter. Another classic Austin A35 here. It looks like it's got a headlamp peak on one side at least, and a period sun visor in the livery of the RAC breakdown service, the Royal Automobile Club. This one from 1967. Carry on with this volume 2. We have another Morris. This is a Morris J2 based catering vehicle. Now, whether this started out as a camper van or possibly even an ambulance perhaps, but I'm guessing it probably was a camper van and converted in more recent years to be a coffee van. But that is really nice. Look at this, another fantastic Borgward. Thanks again to Oliver for sending over a whole batch of photographs from events he went to in 2023, and amongst them was this beautiful fire truck, complete with matching trailer no less. Check out the video on old trailers that I uploaded early in 24 if you like trailers too. Now we were in Portugal for this one. We've already seen the Bedford Midi, and I think this is the vehicle it was based on, the Isuzu Fargo. I'm sure the name probably varied depending on the market it was sold in. But yeah, this is just a really, really solid looking example actually. No rust on it anywhere at all. Back at Bicester here with my youthful assistant. Another example of the 2CV base van. This is quite an early one with the corrugated bonnet. Talking of 2CVs, there is a 2CV saloon parked alongside another fairly rare example of the Austin badged Morris van, if you like, and again with a crinkly Austin grille as opposed to the grille with the straight bars that the Morris versions have. Now this was for sale just a year or two back at this particular show, and it was a really nice proper oily ragger Ford Econoline. Really, really nice thing, dates to the late 1960s, and it just looks so original, and I thought that would make a fantastic van. You could always keep in the back as well. Now we're at the NEC on one of the Morris Club stands. We've got DKP 507, a Morris 8 van from March of 1937. Bit of a work in progress this one, and I have seen this one not too far from where I'm sat, so I think it lives in this locality somewhere. So yeah, and okay, and here, classic Reliant time now, a matching pair of Reliant Supervan 3s, and neither of them are yellow, which makes a change, so yeah, I had to include these two here for balance. very square VW here, E446 RSD. This is a first generation VW LT, I think. This is the post-86 facelift. That's when these rectangular headlamps were introduced. So you don't see as many of these as the usual VW campers and the vans. And we are down at Malvern, another example of a minivan, this one on a V-plate. So the silver and black plates wouldn't have been original to it when it was new. And I do like those mini branded mud flaps. They are very nice, and the wheels are pretty unusual as well. Who made those? What make are those wheels? Thanks to Tony again for this one, and another example of a late 1960s Thames 307E, the Anglia-based van. And how about this? An immaculate Marina era 700 weight, I think, Morris van, ROG 973, I can't see the last letter, M. I think it is, but that is just incredible condition. That would take some doing to restore a bad one into that condition. And here, look, it's not just Citroens that are converted into coffee bars and so on. Here we have a Peugeot van, the Peugeot J7, still with its, I think, French registration still, so either that one's driven there or maybe it's transported there, probably the latter I would have thought. The classic American van here. This is one of the Dodge A100 series vans, or in particular this one is badged as the A108, so I'm not sure if that refers to the particular payload capacity or the wheelbase perhaps, I'm not quite sure, but it dates to 1964 judging by that B registration. Another classic Ford Transit here, one of the Smileys. This was seen in the Auto Jumble area at a classic car show in 2023, I believe. Now this was in the auction at the NEC Classic Car Show 2 or 3 years ago. This is a real beauty. This is a Bean, a vintage Bean van. Bean cars are thin on the ground as it is, but to see a van is just a joy. What a cracking looking vehicle that is. It must be the only one left, surely. And here, oh no, now we're back to E83Ws. I am fond of these. I've had 1 or 2 of these over the years. MCG 48 is a really original 1954 Thames 1000 weight or half-ton van. These were built from 1938 through to 57. It started out as a van and it's got added windows. And this was its replacement. Also a van with added windows, in this case a Thames 400E. This is the forward control Thames that replaced the E83W when the latter went out of production in 1957, and this was replaced by the Transit Mark I. Now if you've seen Dad's Army, you'll recognise this old girl. This is Corporal Jones's van, BUC 852, a 1935 Ford Model BB. And then it's great that that has survived. Isn't that amazing? What a joy to see this one. And we're back in North Wales for this one, I believe. A Bedford CF, or rather the Bedford CF2. Looks like it's been jacked up a little bit on period wolf race, or those are Weller steel wheels, aren't they? Yeah, but it looks really, really straight. It's in very nice condition, that one. As is this beautiful Escortish van, based or contemporary to the Mark IV Ford Escort, and it's in really nice condition in the livery of John Nibbs Cars and Sons, servicing, repairs and cam belts. This was down at Malvern. Another lovely Volkswagen is next, another splitty, and yeah, look at those 2 side opening doors on both sides. And in immaculate condition. The paintwork inside was as good as it is outside. It was absolutely mint. You wouldn't even want to step inside that one. It was so clean. And look at this. This was at the Malpas Steam Rally. A right-hand drive Ford Model T van in the livery of Lowe's of Chester. Right-hand drive, so I'm assuming this is one of the Model Ts assembled at Trafford Park in Manchester, where Ford had their facility. But yeah, that is lovely. And we are back in London now, and what appears to be, probably is another British Telecom Morris van. Look at the size of those wing mirrors, they mean business, as does that roof rack on the top, designed for ladders, so it is a ladder rack. Ooh, but not a Morris J van here. This, on the Morris J register stand, is the Austin version, the Austin 101. Slightly different grille, you'll note, but otherwise pretty much identical, I think. Again, keeping Austin buyers happy. Austin or Morris, you're usually very keen on one or the other. And here we are back at Tatton Park, and we have GER 438. This is a Fordson 500 weight EO4C van. Note the different grille compared to the E494C that we saw a little bit earlier. These are quite rare. And these aren't exactly thick on the ground either. This is the Reliant Rebel 750 van. This one dates to 1973. Fiberglass bodies, as so many Reliants were over the years. Now, this one's looking a little forlorn. We have a minivan of indeterminate age. There's no vent in the roof, so I'm guessing this is probably 1970s as opposed to 1960s. The early minivans had the little vent in the middle of the roof, but I can't see one in this case, unless it's missing, of course. And this was seen down at Prescott at the hill climb venue down there. A really smart, straight example of the Citroën Acadian. You can see the Diane style front end just visible there, which marks it out from the 2CV based vans, which we probably see more often in fact. Back to the NEC, another lovely Bedford HA van here, really clean condition. Of course, this was based on the Vauxhall Viva HA, but I'm guessing it probably outlasted its saloon equivalent. But yeah, this is a lovely example in blue, complete with AA badge on the grille. Back at Malvern in the general parking area, is this a 2002 Escort based van? Really nice to see this one. It's one of those sort of vans that used to be everywhere, but they got worked into the ground and very few around now. And to round out this volume 2 of classic vans, a future classic perhaps. This, I don't know how you pronounce this, the Aixam Pro, AIXAM is how it's spelt. Electric and diesel versions of these are available, and I wonder how long it'll be before one of these pops up at a classic van show. And there we go, that rounds out volume 2 of classic vans here on the Old Classic Car channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of thing. Have a look around the rest of the channel, and there'll be many more videos along very soon indeed. So bye for now.